morning friends. Today we are going to discuss on the topic called as Biopharmaceutics and Pharmacokinetics. Well, you say one of the most important topic or discussion in B Pharmacy course is Biopharmaceutics and Pharmacokinetics. So if we say we go for the study of this subject, we see always that the biopharmaceutics stands in complement to pharmacokinetics. Pharmacokinetics we have studied in another as a separate topic in general pharmacology. Whereas for biopharmaceutics, we have to know or understand what it actually means. Biopharmaceutics over here doesn't mean of any kind of biopharmaceuticals. It doesn't say all the biopharmaceuticals which are available in the market. No, it doesn't say that. It says, and generally what we say is it arrives with as a complement. So it says, specifically if we say what it says, biopharmaceutics is the way by which we present what? The drug to the systemic circulation. Biopharmaceutics means the process or by the way by which we make our drug or our API, whatever it is, available to the systemic circulation. Now, for doing so, making the or presenting the drug to the systemic circulation, we have to consider three main. We have to go for three considerations to understand biopharmaceutics and pharmacokinetics. We have to make three considerations. First one, we call it as physicochemical consideration. This physicochemical consideration will be done of the drug or the API which you are using. So you have to know the physiochemical nature of the drug or the API what you are using. Secondly, physicochemical consideration. So physiological consideration which says about the various physiological aspect of the site from which the drug will be reaching to the systemic circulation, or the physiological environment which will make the drug available to the systemic circulation. And the third one, what we have is what we call it as the pharmaceutical consideration. So we have for biopharmaceutics, if we say biopharmaceutics of a oral formulation, suppose let us consider biopharmaceutics of a oral consideration. So we are availing the drug to the systemic circulation based upon what we call it, the drugs reaching to the GI tract. That from the GI tract, the drug is getting absorbed and is reaching to the systemic circulation. So for that, the total biopharmaceutical considerations will change. Suppose when we go for a drug delivery through ocular, that is through eyes, so for that the biopharmaceutical consideration will be different as from that of your oral route of drug delivery. Obviously, a drug which you, when you absorb, when you are applying to the eye, so the physiological condition of the eye is totally different from the physiological condition of your stomach. So the absorption of the drug will be totally different as for the eye and for the stomach. You have to take all those considerations, and after considering these physiological and pharmaceutical considerations, we will select which drug suits best for that particular site of administration. All drug doesn't suit well for your oral drug delivery. Basically, the drugs which are getting degraded in your liver, the drugs which gets totally degraded in your liver, or which cannot escape totally your first pass metabolism, or it gets degraded in your stomach. So the drugs, they cannot be available in the systemic circulation. So when the drugs are not available for the systemic circulation through oral route, we have no option, we go for IV. There are a lot of examples which we will discuss in later classes. So there we can think of a by route other than the oral. What happens is the oral route is the most common route of drug delivery. So probably our discussions gets restricted in this route of administration. But there are a lot of good papers or research work which is done in the other routes of administration. So we may take its consideration also. Let us go back. Physiochemical consideration. When we say of the physicochemical considerations, we say few factors. The most important is, first one, let us start, is molecular weight. So molecular weight, so one of the most common unit of molecular weight is Dalton. It is found that generally the drugs which are absorbed through the oral route, they have a molecular weight less than 500 to 600 Daltons. So if your drug is more than that, probably this is not the best route of administration. We have to think for the other routes. Probably you know that. Like insulin. Insulin cannot be given through oral route at the present. Now there are a lot of research work that has been done to advance the drug delivery or to get an oral insulin, but till now it is not in the market. Why? Because it is having a high molecular weight. You cannot prescribe a high molecular weight through oral route because it has a restriction of 500 to 600 Dalton. As most of the drugs which you prescribe to this route of administration generally undergoes a passive transport. So as it undergoes a passive transport, large or bulky molecular drugs cannot undergo this process. So we don't have capacity to do or transfer the drugs over here. Next, we call it as the pKa value of the drug, acid dissociation constant of the drug. Most of the drugs what we use in our market are either weak acids or weak bases. So in that way, most of the drugs will be either weak acid or weak base. So depending upon its physiological environment, the drug will be in the ionized or ionized condition. So depending on its ionization or degree of unionization, it will control the rate of absorption. Whether the drug will get absorbed or the drug will not get absorbed, it will depend whether the drug is ionized or in unionized condition. The pKa value is an important factor over there. Next, we have something called as log P value. That is a permeability value. Log P value says to what extent the drug will get absorbed via passive diffusion transport. So there are two transport systems, you know, active transport and the passive transport. So for what you call oral, so we are discussing for the oral. For the oral, your log P value is a very important factor as it undergoes a passive diffusion. So when it undergoes such diffusion transport, we generally check the permeability of the drug by determining the log P value. So this is one of the important factors which has to be considered when we go for studying the physiochemical factors of the drug. Next, we have dissolution. So dissolution is also a very important phenomenon, or solubility of the drug or dissolution of the drug is an important phenomenon by which we study the rate and extent of the drug which is reaching to the solution form from its formulation. If we consider a tablet or a capsule, generally a tablet, majorly a tablet, let us consider immediate release tablet, which undergoes the dissolution process. Before dissolution, it has to disintegrate, that we know. Disintegration test is there. First the tablets reach the site, then it swells, it bursts, it fragments off. So particles now undergo the dissolution process by which it reaches to the system, reaches to the GI fluid. From the GI fluid, now the drug reaches to the site of absorption, undergoes absorption. After absorption, the drug reaches to the systemic circulation. So dissolution is also a primary factor, and there you have to study the various laws of dissolution, in what ways and the mechanism the drugs undergo dissolution. That is a long story we have to study later. These are the factors which you have to make consideration for any. Now what I am saying is, I was giving an example of oral. Now when you go for any other site of drug delivery, you also have to see in what ways the molecular weight, the pK value, the log P value, and the release. Now I am not saying dissolution, the drug release will be taking place at that particular site of administration or route of administration. So these are the considerations we have to do for the physicochemical factors. Next, we go for the physiological factor. The physiological factor firstly says we have to study the physiology. Physiology. How the organization of organs are there at that particular site. Next, we have to see about its basically its structure. Then we have to consider its pH environment, and what are the factors that is affecting the absorption of the drug. What are the factors which is affecting the absorption of the drug. These criteria has to be considered when you go for the physiological considerations that helps in the presentation of the drug to the systemic circulation. Okay. Then is the pharmaceutical factors. The pharmaceutical factors, if we say it can be of two types. One is the method of preparation, how you prepare it, how you prepare a formulation. So a lot of things depends on that. And next one is the excipients, what you use. Let us go for the method. Now when you go for a method, so there is for tablets, there is a direct compression method, there is what you call dry granulation method, there is a wet granulation. So varying the methods somehow affects the release process of the drug to the systemic circulation. Next, when you go for the methods, so formulation which is prepared by dry granulation, the prepared by wet granulation, also by direct compression, there will be a variation, obviously, that will be dependent on the method. Next is the excipients. Now when you consider the excipients plays a very important role which aids the release of the drug to the systemic circulation. It helps the drug to get released to the systemic circulation. Possibly Now we have the disintegrating agent. The disintegrating agent may take little time, few minutes it may take to disintegrate and release the drug to the systemic circulation, sorry, to the GI fluid. So that is called as normal disintegrating agent. Whatever you have, steroids and all those things what we have, we can use it for disintegration purpose. Now there is another type of disintegrating agent called as super disintegrating agents. Now when you use a super disintegrating agent, they are capable of disintegrating a tablet at a short period of time, which may be just within 30 seconds as per FDA, as per your limits, pharmacopoeia limits, and what you call this kind of disintegrating agents, what we call it as super disintegrating agents, they should release the drug within 30 seconds. I told now, it is within 30 seconds. So when the drug is getting released within 30 seconds, so you can think how fast that tablet is breaking. So generally, these are used for orodispersible, which breaks the drug in your mouth. So depending upon the excipient, the mode of action of the drug will also change. So this is the consideration which we have to do when we study the biopharmaceutics. So whenever someone says you have to do the biopharmaceutical study of so and so formulation, you have to ask him 3 questions. First, what is the physiochemical nature of the drug or the API? Which physiological environment are you projecting the drug to release? And the pharmaceutical factors, that is the method of preparation as well as the excipients which are used for the formulation. So if you say all these stories, you will be getting an idea of biopharmaceutics. Now let us come for pharmacokinetics. So this is your biopharmaceutics. Let us go for pharmacokinetics. So I am just moving it off. So this comes from the consideration. I am just moving it off. I am just keeping the initial definition. So it will be easy for you to correlate. Now let me consider about I am writing very short. It's pharmacokinetics. So we are considering pharmacokinetics. If we say what is pharmacokinetics? The pharmacokinetics in short we say what body does to the drug. So it is what body is doing with the drug. What body is doing with the drug? Body is providing a kinetics, or it is enabling the drug to move from the site of absorption to the site of therapy. So what the drug is doing, what the body is doing with the drug? The body is providing the kinetics or the movement from the site of absorption to the site of therapy. So as the drug is moving, so then only it can show its pharmacodynamic action. Then only it can bind to the receptor and show its action. So all the stories, what is happening from the site of absorption till the drug is moving to the systemic circulation and how it is being thrown out of the body. How it is being thrown out of the body, how it is being removed from the body. The total story is called as pharmacokinetics. Now when we say the pharmacokinetics, we generally broadly classify. Now we can classify the pharmacokinetics broadly into 2 types. First one, it is absorption. How the drug is getting absorbed to the systemic circulation. And the second one is your kinetics or disposition. I'm just writing short. Disposition, that is moving. How you are changing its place. So changing of the place generally involves again distribution and elimination. I think you know all those definitions. I'm not going, I'm just giving a brief overview. So after elimination, when you say an elimination is a combined process of what? It's a combined process of metabolism, which we also use a term called biotransformation, and the second one, what we call it as excretion. So this is how you define the pharmacokinetics. The pharmacokinetics generally studied by using various pharmacokinetic parameters. So these all the process of distribution, elimination, metabolism, excretion, absorption, these are studied by using various pharmacokinetic parameters. So there are various pharmacokinetic parameters which is studied by various parameters. So what are those parameters? First is the rate constants. So rate constant, if we say, so there are different rate constants like there are various rate constants. Then you have something called as the T-half or half-life. So basically we say of the elimination half-life. Then we have something called as AUC. That is the area under the curve, or this is also equal to the viability. And if we go for suppose an oral drug delivery, if we consider the oral consideration, we also will consider other factors like Cmax and Tmax. Now what is a Cmax and what is a Tmax? So let us totally, if we say these are the various constants which we make consideration. So if we draw a concentration versus time curve, if we consider a concentration versus time curve, we will be getting a oral drug delivery somewhat like this. So this is the curve which we get it. So this one, the maximum concentration which is achieved by a formulation in a systemic circulation is called as Cmax, and the time which is required to achieve is called as the Tmax. And this part is called the absorption phase. The slope of this part will give you the absorption rate constant. This part, the end part of it, because there is a mixture, is a post-absorption phase followed by elimination phase. So if you consider the tail part and you get the slope, so tail part of the slope will give you the elimination rate constant. And the total area under the curve, that is the total area under this, we call it as the area under the curve. Okay? So these are the few factors which you have to study. So hope so you understood a basic skeleton framework for studying biopharmaceutics and pharmacokinetics. There are a lot of books are available. Sharjah, then you have Ibaldi. These are the well-known books available. Brahmankar is there. That is also for understanding the very basics, initial things you can use it. Apart from Venkateshwaraylu, which is also a very good book to understand the biopharmaceutics part, as well as a lot of calculations and derivations are given very well in Venkateshwaraylu. So you can study those books as a reference and can get a deep overview. Basically remember, understanding biopharmaceutics and pharmacokinetics, basically pharmacokinetics, there you have to understand this topic with an mathematical point of view. So there will be a lot of derivations which will be used over here. You should try to understand the basic things so that it will be easy for you to apply it in your later part in various research works when you do the basically the in vivo studies. So when you go for bioequivalence studies or bioequivalence studies, so the knowledge of pharmacokinetics will be playing a very important role. Whereas for formulation development, if you are working as a formulation development scientist, the knowledge of biopharmaceutics as well as pharmacokinetics are very essential for a drug design. So you understood the things. Please subscribe.